Yeah. OnChain Revolution, you're not bullish enough. OnChain Revolution, you're not bullish enough. Every day we steady looking at the market, and we gon' tell you how to get started. Chain abstraction, fear and greed index, always looking at price action. Roll call in advance, you don't even gotta mention. Swap it in the decks, you're not bullish enough. Trade it in the segs, you ain't trenching enough. We do that market recap. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to rehab. Shizzy and Yagobi. OnChain Revolution, network in the art. Every day we go live, baby, you know where we are. We mention all the networks and the crypto. Need some more liquidity. Flipping and trading is the recipe. Too many protocols to count. I get high and I'm never coming down. Number go up, then I'ma say peace. Yeah, you thought that I was gonna leave. Yeah, we just getting started, man. OnChain Revolution. Every day. Bring the beat back. Eyes everywhere, gotta be careful with volatile meme coins. You can get some bread if you round trip it, then you gon' regret. All this information in my head. BYOR, touch grass instead. Nobody really knows how it's gon' end up today. Somebody gotta tell you what's happening today. I don't let the money change me no way. OnChain Revolution, here to stay. Yeah, Sam Sage, man. Voodoo 2 on the way. Yeah. Nicky's. Yeah. OnChain Revolution. OnChain. Hey, OnChain Revolution. Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recap, then I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action, yeah, send it to the deck. Sell it through the stack. Ordinals the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to read. If you end up bearish, gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Bridge. Look at the chart.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin crypto ecosystem. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live for the OnChain Hour, and right now we got Bitcoin at 107,541. Yes, we're 500 hours higher than we were this morning. Bitcoin is building some momentum. Ethereum is looking good today too. So yesterday I was a little cautious because I saw Ethereum red. Bitcoin was up, hit 108, and then came back down. I'm feeling a little better about Ethereum. We have Ethereum right now, 2,447, up about 1%. It is actually green against Bitcoin today, which is really good. This is what we need, guys. We need Ethereum to build. If Ethereum can kind of build, we're going to get really good momentum from the altcoins. I'm thinking right now, Ethereum is last cycle's Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is just something else, right? Bitcoin is a TradFi item right now, and we need Ethereum to kind of be what Bitcoin was. So if let's just say we're in 2020, if Ethereum is the new Bitcoin, we might not see Ethereum really start to break until Q4. So Yagobi's been saying that for a long time, but if we get Ethereum to kind of break before that, we could have a really good Q3 and Q4. So everything kind of watching Ethereum right now for the sense of when alt season, right? Because then it might not even be all season. Ethereum just might be like crypto season, and Bitcoin is just a TradFi. So I don't know. It's kind of just what I've been thinking and kind of looking at, and just really want Ethereum to pop. But on a good note, we do have Dog. Dog has been strong, and Dog is actually getting listed on Kraken tomorrow. Monster news, guys, because this is going to be a green light for a lot of Bitcoin layer one assets, and Dog and Runes and even BRC20s, right? And Alkanes. Crazy stuff been happening in Alkanes, by the way. We'll get into that a little later. But we just have a jam-packed show for you guys today. So without further ado, bring our partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up,
Man? How you feeling today, bro?
Feeling pretty good. Yeah, we started the week kind of we didn't know what to think, and we got that sentiment reversal with some headlines, and I feel kind of back on track with my personal sentiment. But again, also a little cautious just because, we saw what happened over the weekend. Touching 98 was not fun at all, but it does seem like we're back on track. Now, there's a couple of things that are happening. Options are closing, so we gotta kind of look at that max pain price point for Bitcoin, because that's typically where they try to kind of gravitate towards, right? But yeah, I think we're looking good. The runes are looking okay, but dog is looking real strong. And Kraken really could be bringing in some game changing applications with Krak and integrating this kind of runes ecosystem. We'll have to see how they integrate it in. We know dog's going to get there, but they don't just talk about dog, they talk about runes a lot. So we'll see what that looks like in the future. But yeah, a lot of exciting stuff happening. L2 is going to be launching this week, next week. We got Botonics, tons of stuff happening, guys. We're excited.
Yeah, I mean, we got 4 days left in Rune June, right? It wasn't as spectacular as we hoped, so that's kind of a bust, but we still have time. I mean, Kraken list tomorrow. Dog can potentially get to, let's just say, $600 million market cap. It's only like a 30% jump for something like Dog is pretty easy in that sense, because now you have a lot of bigger players now have access to Kraken, and they could just buy it up, right? And say, hey, I'm buying this for a year down the line. I don't care what the price is, and I'm in this. And so we could see a lot of that happening tomorrow for the first time. We got normie whales being able to buy Dog and stuff like that. But to your point, they just opened the Krak wallet, and so basically Krak is a Cash App, a Venmo competitor, where you're out to dinner with somebody, you split a bill, you send that person, you can send them USDC, you can send them any asset on Kraken, Dog included tomorrow. So potentially, like, if we're at dinner, bro, and you're like, and the bill's like $200, I can send you $100 in Dog. I think we're all happy with that. But it's just another option. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like the next innovation of something like Cash App, because I'm sure you're probably gonna be able to send cash as well. Maybe there'll be another side thing for that. I don't know.
No, you can send USD, but you can send crypto is like the bigger thing there.
Yeah, exactly, right. So it's like the next level of something we're used to. So that's exciting, right? So Dog gets listed. People are can be sending Dog. If you win competition, you can just send it to their tag, whatever, right? But I've always had this kind of sleeper mentality in terms of the Bitcoin ecosystem being like a kind of a main narrative, right? The narrative, but it didn't seem like that for a while, and I still have that in the back of my mind for either Q4 or, like you've said, going into 2026 and continuing this cycle. And there's a lot of stuff that's happening that people outside of our ecosystem don't know about. And even us, that we've heard about things from a year and a half ago or a year ago being built is going to be released next week and stuff like that. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm curious. How do you feel about potentially Ethereum being the new Bitcoin in the sense of for us crypto guys, right? Let's just say Bitcoin it's now a TradFi item.
And when
right?
you say that,
it's not.
Yeah, when you say, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but when you say in TradFi, I don't want the audience to get confused here. It's not that Shizzy's like losing interest in Bitcoin. He's saying the stability of Bitcoin is so strong.
No, well, the adoption is there. So
yeah,
Bitcoin is now a TradFi asset in the sense of it's trading like NVIDIA. It's trading like
stability
Microsoft.
and strength.
It's now an asset that, like, when the retail comes in, they're not buying Bitcoin. It is no longer a retail driven asset. It is now a traditional finance asset. That's kind of what I mean on that. While retail and us crypto guys are maybe seeing Ethereum now as the leading, not only indicator, but asset for retail and crypto investors, for the crypto bros. That's kind of what I mean by that. So let's just say we're in 2020, right? And Ethereum is now the #1 retail asset. Let's just say Ethereum starts to grind up in Q4. That could really set off a huge momentum shift for crypto. But we need Ethereum to go up, in my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so I see what you're saying. I feel like it was kind of happening before a little bit, to where retail would get in and Bitcoin was always that unattainable like gainer. But like it really happens whenever the institutions come in and kind of stabilize it to be something that still has a lot of upside. Don't get it twisted, because we got to remember there's a finite supply and demand aspect of Bitcoin, but the price being what it is going to be pretty much out of reach, and that's kind of been the case for a minute for just normies coming in. And so with institutions coming in, yeah, Bitcoin will go up, but it'll be kind of more of their game. They kind of put in this gold category, and Ethereum is more of this, okay, still attainable by normies, you know, at this $2,000 level, especially whenever people are forecasting it anywhere between, you know, 8 to 19,000 within the next year and a half. So, but then you're right, you know, and Ethereum has kind of taken that torch in terms of whenever I say all season goes, it's whenever it goes, really. And so, yeah, I think we're going to probably look at it more towards an indicator of like, it's time to get a little bit risk on, and, you know, let's get into some of these things we can get in and experience our, you know, 10, 20, 50, 100x gains, get out, and then possibly get into Bitcoin then if you have enough and you are in that category or something like that, right? So I agree with you in that aspect.
But it's almost like Bitcoin isn't crypto anymore. It's almost like Bitcoin is its own category now, and Ethereum is maybe the leading crypto asset, in my opinion. I mean, the maxis will tell you straight up, Bitcoin is not crypto. Like that, it's like Bitcoin and crypto, right? So maybe they're right. Maybe, you know, maybe we're dependent on Ethereum to be that leading asset, that leading indicator for crypto season. Maybe it's no longer alt season. Maybe it's crypto season, and we're just not there yet.
So it definitely has its own category, right? In terms of stability, strength, perception, like what people think about it. But I look, we got to remember, you know, Bitcoin still has an like pretty robust on-chain economy. You know, it's not like Ethereum, of course, because, you know, it had Ethereum had a head start, plus it's more advanced in the tech stack environment, but it's growing here on Bitcoin. But you're right, like in Bitcoin itself, yeah, it's more looked at, I think, as like a stable.
I'm
like
not talking about the chain. So I think a lot of people like, so there's Bitcoin and there's Bitcoin chain, right? So I'm not talking about the chain whatsoever. I'm just talking about the asset, the reward token for the Bitcoin chain.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, that's pretty obvious. It stands out, you know, from everything else, right? People just look at it as the, you know, the top of the top. It's in a category of its own. They look at it as formidable. You might have some crazy statements from Jamie Dimon, which I think they've been ridiculous the entire time, right? He's going to hit that moment to where either he's just never going to talk about it, or he's going to come around like Larry Fink did and said, I was wrong. Larry Fink said that on CNBC, right? And so in that aspect, Bitcoin is in a class of its own. I think people are going to be looking at people that have Bitcoin. Like if you have one Bitcoin at some point, it's going to be like, wow, like that guy has wealth. If you have multiple, then that guy has wealth that he can pass down to his children and stuff like that, right? So exactly. So Ethereum's still kind of in that category of hey, I can gain wealth or whatever, you know, like through this as a normie, and some of these other blue chips that are right below it. And there's always going to be new stuff that's attractive, I feel like. You know, it's going to be more rare as we go into the future, but just kind of like how the internet was. I feel like, you know, there was hot new things that at first it was probably like, you know, 5-10 a year in the mid 2000s, and then like that slowed down. But then like whenever something did come out that was new, it had to be really special, but you could do very well on it, right? So I think that's probably how we end up evolving in our space as well.
Yeah, man. All right, let's get into today's number one topic. Here's Tether faces U.S. heat. GameStop bags $450 million, and Bitcoin gears up for a $2.7 billion surge. So the first thing there is GameStop. GameStop raised an additional $450 million, bringing the total funding to $2.7. We do know they've only bought about $500 million worth of Bitcoin so far, and but they're gearing up for another buy here. Do you think this will be soon? Do you think it'll be potentially this week?
I think most likely it will, just because of the trajectory of forecasts of what Bitcoin is looking to be. Look, you know, when it got to 98,000 over the weekend, I really did have kind of, you know, that 92, possibly, you know, maybe do we dabble in the 80s one last time and then we get up, but I thought it would be quick regardless. I was saying that to you, you know, over the weekend. I was like, this sucks, but I think it's like a quick kind of in and out type of situation, and then we hover maybe around low 100,000s, high 90s, but we kind of went back to where we were, right? So GameStop's probably like, oh wow, we're already back to where we were. Probably need to get in now before it continually goes up. You know, a lot of people calling for that, you know, 115 to 130 range by mid-July, early August, and then maybe a pullback. This right now, I think it's the perfect time to do something.
Yeah, 100%. I think it happens this week, but I think they're being really smart. Like I don't know if they're being I don't know if they're being smart. They're being very like
Cautious.
soft with these buying, very cautious. Yeah, like they're not really going. I mean, you have over $1 billion sitting there. You only use 500 million. Like, what are you waiting for? Back when they bought that, it was like 96, 98, right? So now they got to come in and buy higher. So I don't know what they're waiting for, unless they're just really cautious and really want to have cash on the side in case there's a dip. I don't know what they're waiting for here, but we'll see. But the second part of this is the proposed Genius Act could force $156 billion stablecoin giant Tether to face audits and end risky practices, posing as major challenge to its U.S. operations. So I don't know what Tether is waiting for, why they're not doing an audit here. I know that in 2020, during the pandemic, they were buying yachts. They bought like an entire marina of yachts, and because they didn't know what to do with the cash, right? And the cash was being like devalued heavily, right? They were buying Bitcoin, they were buying anything. They were 100% trying to get out of cash, but that cash was backing the stablecoin, right? So it was like, what are you guys doing? And then they end up fixing a lot of the issues, and they said they're 1-to-1 now. They went and bought a lot of Treasury bonds, which is legally allowed to be used to back stable coins and stuff here. But what do you think Tether is waiting for? Why not just do an audit at this point?
Yeah, I think during that time they all were also taking advantage of huge discounted pricing too, right? Because like the housing market like dumped right when that happened. People were trying to build brand new and getting it cheap with rates. So I wonder if they take maybe a couple loans out, and I know they probably use some of their collateral there, but so why don't they do it now? That's a good question, because I think probably if they wanted to compete heavily in the US markets or North American markets, they would have already done a clean audit that would satisfy regulators and stuff like that. They obviously have their reasons why they didn't do it. But with the Genius Act, it's going to be tough because, the stablecoin, I think, market mainly is going to be like really competitive in North America. But there's also going to be different markets that are competitive with it as well. Like you have, Europe, which actually Europe's kind of kicked them out too, right? Yeah. So it's really just dealing with like everything outside of North America and Europe.
Asia.
So it's Asia, which is a big market.
Africa.
This is going to be interesting to see what move they make here, because I feel like it's kind of playing chess here at this point. They're going to get pressure from regulators to open up their books. And if they do, they have nothing to hide and they want to dabble in those markets, then they'll open it up. But if they don't, it like no matter what their reason is, it's going to make people scratch their head. Like, why not? Right. Because like, why are you giving up in this market? This market is huge.
Yeah, unless they're just like, we just don't care about that market. Like we just, I mean, they're in El Salvador. That is their home base now, right? Which is, not far from Florida. So they're right there now. They were more in the East. But their stablecoin is number 1 in the East, number 1 on Binance, number 1 on OKX, is number 1 on MEXC. It's number 1 everywhere except for U.S. exchanges. And maybe they're just like, we just don't care enough to have to spend a lot of money for this audit, because, or maybe they just want to be private. Maybe they're just like, we just won't want to open our books to anybody. This is our business. I mean, they're private at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, they have reached a certain level of success to where maybe they feel like we don't need to go public. That's not in our plans. We don't need to, bend the knee to any regulators in the US or the EU. But it does make you scratch your head a little bit, just because like they are such a branded entity. Yeah. But again, they also have extended their brand to the Bitcoin ecosystem with the stablecoin there, right? Utilizing the Lightning Network, and so it's kind of like they even if they seem like they don't want to open their books, they're still like growing, and we can see that. But going to be very interesting how they play their cards in the next couple 2 to 5 years, because this is when infrastructure is happening. This is like the main adoption, right? You would think that the big players, you see Chainlink, kind of coming into this, partnering with MasterCard and stuff like that. We'll see what happens with Tether.
Yeah, man. All right, let's hop into some big news here. So, 20 billion in Bitcoin options expiring Friday could fuel a BTC rally to 110. So we saw it last month. So it's every Friday of the month, right? So we saw the last Friday of June, of May. You saw Bitcoin kind of go up and then kind of come back down, and it kind of hit its targets. Right, we woke up to like a high Bitcoin number, and throughout the day, it kind of went back to where it was. I'm actually thinking we see the same thing tomorrow. I'm thinking they bring it up to 110 in the middle of the night, because around, what is it, 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. or something like that is when
3 a.m.
Durbit,
Central,
yeah,
4 a.m. your time.
Yep. So 4 a.m. Eastern time is kind of when the Durbit options expire. So that's what happened last month. They took it up to whatever it was. I think it was 108 last month, and now it's kind of 110 here. So we'll see if they can kind of take it up, get their profit, pull it back down. I don't know, but so open interest is heavily clustered at about 100K and 110K call option. So the puts right now are 100, the calls are 110, meaning a huge volume of bullish bets becomes live all at once. As spot rallies towards those strikes, market makers who sold the calls must buy Bitcoin to hedge, a classic gamma squeeze, which can amplify buying pressure and fuel momentum. If Bitcoin breaks above the key levels early in the week, it can cascade into itself, reinforcing FOMO and buying, helping clear those call strikes to 110. So this could happen at any point today. You could potentially see cascades of self-reinforcing FOMO trying to get these call options to hit their mark.
Yeah, and this is very interesting because I think there might be a contradiction with the max pain price points for Bitcoin, at least, and what they're calling for here, which would make sense for a squeeze type of situation, right? Because the max pain point that I'm seeing is 102,000 for Bitcoin, and it's not as bad for Ethereum, which is 2,600 actually.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of these like options platforms and stuff, we're thinking maybe towards the end of June we have this strong pullback for Bitcoin, but not necessarily as much for Ethereum, because you can see 2,600 for Ethereum, which that could be a sign too for us that says, look, like the market makers and the options servicers and stuff are thinking Ethereum is going to show a little bit more strength heading into July than possibly Bitcoin. That doesn't mean they don't think Bitcoin's going to go up in July or not. It's just, heading into July. So maybe that could give us a little foreshadowing for possibly alts to get a little bit heated up and stuff like that. With that being said, max pain 102 for Bitcoin. And then this projection of 110, trying to squeeze some of these, options providers and stuff like that, because the further away they get from that max pain point price, the more profit they lose, right? So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. I'm excited now.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, it could get crazy tonight too, going into tomorrow morning. So we'll see. All right, moving along here. Tweet from my guy PlanB. So PlanB hasn't really tweeted in a while here. Let me actually share my screen because he posted this chart. All right, so he says Bitcoin is at an interesting point in the time. RSI 70, traditional investors use 30 to 70 RSI range. So they start to get worried that BTC is overbought now. BTC investors, on the other hand, know that normal BTC RSI range from 40 to 90. So 70 is only slightly above average. And he has this chart here. And, this is, he's basically saying, TradFi gets worried around 70 RSI, relative strength index. But crypto investors, no, we get worried around 90 because we're degenerates crap here. But what do you think about Bitcoin? Do you think we can get to 90, which would mean a huge upward momentum trend in price?
I think we could, but you're right. I mean, the perspective is the problem is like, the traditional investors probably align a little bit more with institutions, right? But I think it's going to show how much power retail has right now if we do go up to 90, because it shows that like retail does have some strength still in kind of moving some price action, right? Or at least the RSI strength level here.
I don't think retail can move Bitcoin at all at this point, right? There has to be
you wouldn't think so.
A GameStop buy would only move Bitcoin 2%, right? So, but to it's just kind of scary. What he's basically saying now is, if I'm right and Bitcoin is no longer a retail investment, it's all just kind of traditional finance people, that 70 could scare them off now, right? So it might not be.
So then we don't get to
longer. 90 our side. No, we might just get to that. We might actually be topping here, is kind of what he's saying, for at least the local top before it may be a cool down, but let's just say we do cool down and like volume kind of drops and we, Bitcoin stays above 100. It could really be nice to kind of drop back down before we take a lift off in relative strength index anyway.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, retail really is, I don't know how much they're going to be able to do anything. But I mean, we'll see, right? Like you're right. That is probably what retail expects. And then that's why a lot of times they get over leveraged and end up getting wrecked.
And then TradFi is like, nope, it's overbought here. We're cooling down. So that's just some bearish aspect of right now. I gotta say, I'm leaning a little more bearish than bullish right now. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, okay. What is that forecast for though? The date? In terms of like possibly getting to 70 or 90, are they talking about?
Well, we're at 60, we're at 70 now.
Okay, so they're saying right now is kind of that time period, but then
these are our monthly dots, right? So when you're looking at this,
it kind of makes sense for that Max Payne price point that they were shooting for 102 then, and then Ethereum at a little bit higher. So this is for Bitcoin specifically. So maybe they're gonna possibly kind of start to switch a little bit. We'll see.
Yeah, 100%. But I would love, maybe I don't know. We'll see. All right. This is interesting. So crypto TVL hits record 365 billion, signaling real adoption and capital inflow. So I went and looked, right? So I did see this chart. I just saw this on Cointelegraph, right? Basically, crypto TVL record 365, signaling real adoption and capital inflow. The global TVL in crypto is at an all-time high at 365. Top 5 companies, protocols, TVL, Tether, Circle, Aave, Lido, and Sky, right? But then I checked DeFi Llama, and I'm only seeing 110 billion in DeFi, right? But then there's stablecoin, which it would make sense if they're counting this too. So I did a little research, and yes, so they're including all the money that's locked up in Circle, all the money that's locked up in Tether that's backing these assets is now considered TVL. This is something that's new to me because I didn't think of it like that. So even though that money isn't participating in decentralized finance, just being wrapped alone considers it to be DeFi. How do you feel about that? I don't like that, actually.
It's still liquidity though, and I mean that's a lot of money, so I count it.
But TVL is total value locked, so those stablecoins technically aren't locked.
What are they doing?
They're sitting there. I mean, so they're wrapped. The dollars
are wrapped. They're just in people's wallets.
So stablecoins are just kind of hanging out. They're not even. That's a lot of money on the sideline. It's almost like somebody's gearing up for something. I mean,
we've known that though, because there's been a constant increase of stablecoin minting and just coming into the market. We haven't seen too much of a benefit from it yet, but the idea is, and it always has been, when you continually increase stablecoins on the sideline, that they're going to release that and inject that into some different parts of the space. But I count it because look, it's still sitting there. Is it locked in being staked and all that stuff? Maybe some of it is.
No, only 110 million, but this is including Ethereum, it's including Lido, this is including everything. I mean, if you go through every chain,
well, that says stablecoin market cap, so it doesn't.
No. So this is total locked in DeFi, and this is stablecoin market cap. Yeah, this is stablecoin market cap. So you're telling me
the stablecoin market cap, none of that is locked in DeFi?
Barely any of it. So I was looking a lot. Most of this is, if you go through the assets, there's probably 52 billion of it.
But it would be a part of that total.
It would be a part of this total here. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So this just shows me that the people that are printing these stablecoins, one, they're not using them, and two, they're not locking them in DeFi. So what the hell are they doing with them?
Well, they're locking half of the total value into DeFi. That's quite a bit, if you ask me. 52 billion out of 110. I think you just put that number out. That's what I'm going off of.
I just guessed. I kind of guessed the number there. So like if you go through the chains and stuff, like let's just say Aave, for instance, if you go on Aave, it's probably like half of the TVL and Aave is probably stablecoins, USDC and
Okay.
stuff like that. So I'm just kind of guessing, but like Lido, all 22 billion of this is Ethereum, right? So
Which
and
makes
that
sense
way,
because it's
Eigenlayer,
yeah.
Ethereum, Binance staked ETH, 6 billion there. So probably half of this is probably Ethereum, right? But then you got to consider, you have all those other ones, the Aave token and stuff like that. And when on Uniswap and all those assets there, most of them are up against a stable coin, whether it's USDT or USD. So still though, there's still, let's just say half of that. Let's say 52 billion is stable. There's still $200 billion in stable coins just sitting, not getting no yield.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the headline. It says it hits a record of 365 billion, signaling real adoption and capital inflow. I agree with that second part. Whether you don't agree with stablecoins being a part of TVL or not, it does signal real adoption because that someone's taking their money, putting it
But
in a
the problem
stable,
is,
and putting it on chain.
What TVL stands for total value locked.
Yeah, I don't care about that. I'm talking about the signal.
But
Real
you just said
capital
you just
inflow.
said TVL.
No.
It's nothing locked about those stable coins.
So signal. I'm focused on the second half of that headline. The signaling real
No,
adoption
I
and
agree with
capital
that.
inflow.
I mean, but like,
so it does signal real adoption and capital inflow. The fact that 200 or whatever billion is in stable coin because someone took USD or Euro or whatever, put it on chain, and that does signal that. But the TVL part, that's kind of semantics in my opinion, or whatever you want to say with that. It is what it is with that. I agree that it's not locked up. It's not doing DeFi functionality stuff to where you're getting yield, but that could be a good thing too, because if it is on the sidelines, that means they're just kind of waiting for that signal, that green light to say it's go time for risk on.
What is the signal? It's like
rate cuts.
All right, so let's move along here. U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency issues order to count Bitcoin and crypto as an asset for mortgage. Michael Saylor immediately came out with a statement. He said Bitcoin has been recognized as a reserve asset by the U.S. housing system, a defining moment for institutional BTC adoption and collateral recognition. So think about that for a second. Now you can have your Bitcoin there, and you could potentially send it to that bank and use it to get a mortgage against it.
Yeah, I know we hit on this lightly the other day, but this is big. This is big. I wonder how. Okay, so we got about 3 more years with this current administration, right?
Yeah.
And so this will probably be something that lasts for a very long time and just forever, possibly, in terms of mortgages and stuff. Because I initially thought, because this administration is kind of doing a little bit of, hey, look, accept this to different departments of the administration, and I felt like that's kind of how this happened. But it makes sense too, though, right? Bitcoin's becoming more and more looked at, like you said, as a stable, traditional asset. Financial instrument, and so this going into the whole housing financial agency is big for adoption, I think. Also, it's going to let people probably want to hold Bitcoin more because of stuff like this. Just like it's going to be a part of your whole credit and the way you're able to acquire debt and stuff like that in a good way, because obviously debt sounds so negative, but there's obviously good strategies to use debt. We've seen it that's how rich people stay rich or get more rich, right? So we'll see how this continues to kind of trickle down to everyday people, because not everyday people is going to have Bitcoin unless they start to plan now or a couple of years ago, however long you started to acquire Bitcoin.
100%. And like I remember there was a crisis for a while of empty houses, right? Where people, these rich billionaires were just buying up, family homes, right? And just only so they can take like leverage against them, basically borrow against them. So you had almost an epidemic of home prices just flying up because companies like BlackRock and stuff like that were buying neighborhoods of homes because they were worried about inflation. And now you can add Bitcoin as, it basically the same as a home, right? You can go, instead of going to buy a family home, you can go buy, 2-3 Bitcoin, and that same value as that family home, $300,000, can now be, you can use the same thing with that. You can borrow against it the same way. So this might actually open up the housing market, or even maybe crash the housing market, because the billionaires might be getting out of it.
Could. It could. We're going to see what kind of effects it has directly over it.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are going to be leveraging their Bitcoin for, residential homes, and, maybe you could use it in a commercial aspect of purchasing apartment complexes and stuff like that. But we did see over the COVID situation to where, Blackstone, which I think is a subsidiary
BlackRock,
of
right?
no, they had a company underneath
Oh,
them called Blackstone that was the one that was buying up all the subdivisions in
yeah.
these suburbs of America, and then kind of reselling them to people that were looking in that it was a seller's market.
Well,
Type
they
of
were
situation.
renting them out, weren't they?
Well, I think that was the whole idea too, is to rent out a lot of them. They
And
also
then borrow against.
and
Yeah.
they were also doing like new townhomes. I know they did that
Yeah.
in Texas. They were doing that in Texas, like thriving areas. They would just build a whole new townhome subdivision and do that. But that Congress kind of got involved a little bit, try to mitigate there. We'll see what happens here though with Bitcoin. Those are the people that hold it, right? Are the
Yeah, the same
institutions.
people.
So they're going to
Yep.
be able to leverage their Bitcoin and buy more property to make more money. That could happen.
Or buy more Bitcoin to leverage, like, to get out of the house market completely, and just buy more Bitcoin to leverage that Bitcoin, to buy more Bitcoin to leverage that Bitcoin. I mean, that's a seller strategy at this point. So, but I guess my only question is, are we about to see home prices drop drastically as they get out of, now we get regulation on Bitcoin, them getting out of these homes, dropping them all on the market, just trying to get what they can for them, and moving that asset into Bitcoin and then borrowing against that Bitcoin?
Well, we already kind of have a inventory lopsidedness starting to happen anyways, because in certain areas of the US, it's just because during COVID a lot of the real estate market was overpriced and it stayed there. So this would make it substantially worse if that happened.
Yeah, so it could be pretty scary, but interest rates would drop drastically. That's one of the key signs.
Well, we
Powell
expect
looks at the housing
something to
market.
happen anyways with that.
But that could,
Hopefully.
I mean, I don't think no one's expecting that, right? If the housing market crashes, the Fed has no choice but to lower interest rates. So we'll see if that's a key factor into that as well. But something definitely look at that I have been looking at for sure. All right, so next thing here, Bitcoin supply on exchanges has dropped to an all-time low. Bitcoin's liquid supply has surpassed 14 million Bitcoin as more holders move coins off exchanges into long-term storage. So there's 14 million Bitcoin now in cold storage, not on exchanges. So this is like the lowest of all time. Look at this chart too here. This is the Bitcoin on exchanges. This is the Bitcoin price. I mean, it is just dropping drastically. There is barely any Bitcoin on exchanges. I know we kind of talked about this a little yesterday, but every single day it is dropping and dropping to the point where let's just say GameStop does want to purchase a crap load of Bitcoin from Coinbase. They might have to go into the market to actually buy it and not have it, just kind of sitting there for prime.
Yeah. We've been talking about like the supply on exchanges depleting over time for the past, I would say, year plus, right? And that screams a supply and demand situation to where we could have like a hyper price action to the upside, but that buy pressure has to be coming in consistently, and not too many like tricks happening with, like, as much as like the supply is depleting on centralized exchanges, there's still like market maker type of games happening, with Wintermute and all of the exchanges, mind you. It's not just Binance. They're one of the biggest culprits, but they're trying to balance a lot of like, price action going to the upside and then taking advantage of that, liquidating their customers. But at the same time, I feel like once risk on is triggered, I think they'll let up on that kind of stuff. And I think that's whenever like the supply and demand really comes into the factor, right? Because now we're not benefiting much from this because of us not being in a risk on environment, and because centralized exchanges are taking advantage of that, and because they're taking advantage of headlines, and because they're taking advantage of a bunch of greedy people that are taking too much leverage. And I've been in those situations before, so I'm not just calling everybody else out, but it is what it is, and this is the game. And once risk on turns on, it happens every cycle. That's whenever they say, okay, time to go up. We're not going to mess around with this anymore. It's going to time to go up, for however long that is.
And I think you're 100% right. I think it is highly manipulated to the point where I don't think they're going to be able to like manipulate it much more. But just look at this, right? As Bitcoin's price went up, the supply drastically dropped, right? And then this was kind of like they sold down a little bit, but then down only from here. You can't really hold this much more sideways than it already is and have the supply. I mean, if the supply drastically drops, I mean, there's no way Bitcoin can stay like here at 100K. We have to go to 140, 150. Like we have to, because there's just no, I mean, there's no Bitcoin on exchanges. You need people to come in and say, I want to sell my Bitcoin here. And they don't want to do it at 100K. They want to do it at 150. They want to do it at 200. But I mean, until we get that, there's not going to be enough Bitcoin on the market.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I think we're going to see kind of overnight here. We'll see if Bitcoin tries to, like, if the people that manipulate try to get it to 102 as close as possible, or if they get squeezed up, because like it's going to show us, like, even though like the demand right now is probably high because we see the price, but the supply on exchanges are low, they can still manipulate in the short term because they can always bring the price back. They have that kind of power. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens at 3 a.m. Because I'll tell you what, last time we talked about options, I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe. I think it was mid-month, or was it maybe at the end of May?
I think it was the end of last month. Yeah.
About a month ago. So the max paying price for Bitcoin was 106 at that point. The price got, and it doesn't matter if it's below it or above it. They need to get it as close as possible to that. At 3 a.m., the price was, and it went from 102 to 105, like 900. So they were only off by $100 at 3 a.m. Central Time, which is whenever those expired. So I'm going to be kind of looking tomorrow morning at what happened at 3 a.m. And it's going to be very interesting if we dip down to like 103, 104, 103 heading into the night, and then it touches it, and then all of a sudden tomorrow morning we're back to 104, 105, because we know that was manipulated.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we'll see. I'm really looking forward to until 3 a.m. now. I might set my alarm just to check it out. So let's jump into the crypto fear and greed here. So last week we were at a 48. Yesterday we were also at a 48. We're a little bit higher than 48. What do you think we are?
I gotta think about how you said little bit. I'm gonna say
a little bit. Just a little bit.
Okay. 50.
Yeah, you got it. On there, right there. So right there, we're at 50 for today. So great job there. But yeah, I feel neutral. I actually maybe feel a little less than neutral, honestly, right now. With everything that's
you've been in a little bit of a extra cautious.
It's because of this, bro. It's because of this. I'm looking at I'm seeing Bitcoin in the red now. I'm seeing Ethereum barely green. I'm seeing like dogs up. Shout out to dog. But Tau, FLDT. This is the stuff that I follow on a daily basis. Sonic's been just down only. These are the crypto people, right? These are the real holders holding this stuff. Anon and AIXBT and XRP, and this is what's scaring me.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. We talked a little bit about possibly them going into Bitcoin, expecting Bitcoin to run up. But yeah, I mean that, definitely if it's red every day, I can see why you think that.
It's been 3 days in a row of red. So it's getting a little bit. So we'll see. But let's jump into the Bitcoin price action. So before we jump into Bitcoin price action, so I made a little video, and I'm going to put a challenge out there to the audience here. If you guys can make a better video than me on Vivo, I'll send the winner 3 fluid passes. So this is my video. Hold on, this is my video for Bitcoin price. All right, so if you can be, and Yagobi will be the judge here, because I'm kind of, I kind of like my video, but if than me, according to Yagobi, then I'll send you 3 fluid passes. So if you guys want to take a timeout to go do it, I signed up for the VO or whatever it is, and I got 14 days free. So if you guys want to take advantage of that, make that, potentially you can get 3 fluid passes. I think each fluid passes is like about $60-70 right now. So I'll send you 3 fluid passes if you get that. So. But let's jump into the Bitcoin price action now, brought to you guys by Artura.finance. Artura, they're going to be going live on Botanix, guys. We're going to be putting out a members only video this weekend, kind of digging in to what might be happening with Botanix. We're potentially trying to get them on the show as well to kind of get our audience to win, because we feel like Botanix is going to be a huge win for a lot of people who air farm, in my opinion. So definitely, they're not going to have a token, but they are going to incentivize in other ways. And by using, Artura.finance when it launches in a week or so, potentially you guys can take advantage of not only the ARA token, but much, much more. And this is kind of all rumors that we're kind of hearing from different parts of the crypto, like blockchain people. But we're hearing that this could be absolutely huge for early adopters of Botonics, and you guys take advantage of that with Artura Finance. But Artura is also going to be launching on Hemi. Hemi is actually live now, and they already said that they're going to be doing an airdrop of the Hemi token, and it's backed by Binance. So Binance is probably going to list it. So that's going to be an absolutely huge token to get airdropped for sure. But again, when you're using Artura Finance on Hemi, you're actually earning the ARA points potentially for an ARA airdrop as well. So definitely, guys, go over, check out Artura Finance and get ready for a huge launch in the upcoming weeks here. Really excited for what they're building.
Absolutely, guys. I think we're gonna go into a season of, excitement, energy, new builders, education for the Bitcoin ecosystem. The L2 ecosystem is really about to unleash some stuff, and so just make sure you're paying attention, guys. Pay attention. It pays to pay attention. But before we get into the Bitcoin price action here, guys, if you could help us out on the YouTube side, smash that like for us, subscribe to the channel, and turn your notifications on so you know when we go live on X. Let's share this space. Let's get it out there. Let's get as many people as possible into this space so we can onboard as many people as possible. Same thing with the abstract side, guys. If you could help us out sharing that link, we'd greatly appreciate it. But let's jump into some Bitcoin price action here. Let me pull up my screen. Bam, bam. All right, cool. All right, let's start with the hour chart. The hour chart looked like it was about to exhaust, but then it started to dump. I wonder why. Let's see if they start to try to bring it back down heading into the night, as we talked about. I would love for those options servicers to get squeezed and us head to 110 overnight, but we'll see what happens. Actually, we'd probably see some of that action for the maybe some of the show and second half of today if that was to happen, because we're about $3,000 away from that squeeze price point there. All right, so let's take a look here. You can see right now the MACD is showing that it is back in action for the sell pressure, right? We look like we're going to exhaust and come out of it, but it reversed right away. We have been in oversold for a minute on the stochastic RSI on the 1 hour. We've been here since yesterday at 12 p.m. noon. But taking a look here at the Bollinger Bands, looked like it was starting to tighten up here, and then it dumped, right? So we might open up here if it dumps further, or if we kind of get back in the range, it might continue to tighten up here, right? So right now we are open, so it would need to kind of come back in and tighten up there. Not sure what to expect for the second half of today because options are on the line. We'll see if they do get squeezed, but what the indicators are telling me is it looks like they want to bring the price down a little bit here. So I would definitely be on the caution side if you're trying to get into any positions here, just because we know that is on the line for these entities that are worth millions and millions, possibly hundreds of millions of dollars. And I know the options are worth a lot as well. So let's take a look here at the support and resistance for the price points that we're dealing with currently. We're sitting at data from yesterday at 8 p.m. That looks good. Okay, where we are right now, 107,100. Looks like, the resistance is definitely a bit stronger here. We'll see if we can try to get some bigger bids to push up, but it looks like it wants to press down there. Right below it, it's about balanced there. And then below that, the resistance really takes over. So if we actually get down to 106,900, we could see it push down and kind of go towards that max pain point. Obviously that still has a long way to go. You're looking at, if it got to 106,900, you're still looking at about $5,000 worth of Bitcoin to go to hit that 102 mark. So that would be tough to do, but we'll see. We've seen market makers do more than that in the past. All right, let's see what it looks like on the upside. Above this at 107,200 right here is where we kind of take the reins back for the support side. So like I said, if we are able to survive this kind of downtrend and get back here, we should be kind of safe. But then right above that too, it doesn't look good, man. So yeah, this kind of tells me maybe some choppiness down with the downtrend again. I've been wrong even when I'm showing the support and resistance, because sometimes this doesn't mean much, because some big people that are bidding will come in on either side and push up or down out of that. But if I am to use these indicators right now, I would say choppiness with the downtrend for the rest of today. All right, taking a look at the 4 hour. The 4 hour showing some sort of weird looking, not even it's not a flag anymore. This is the pole right here, and it looks like it's giving kind of confirmation to what I said, right? You can see the buy pressure on the MACD starting to exhaust. The MACD blue line looks like it's curled down. It looks like it wants to go south. It's not fully south, but it looks like it's heading there. We are on the way down too on the stochastic RSI. So this is giving confirmation to what I said, choppy with the downtrend, possibly trying to get to that max pain point price at 3 a.m. We'll see what happens. The weekly chart looks okay. It definitely looks better than it did at the beginning of this week, but kind of went over this yesterday, right? We got to see how we finish on Sunday. But this green candle for the week looks much better than how we finished last week. Even if we get down to that price point of max pain tonight, let's say it happens, or in the early morning, we get to 102. I wouldn't be surprised if we just bounce right back, right? So this still has a good chance of finishing the week with a strong green candle. Let's see how the rest of the week plays out. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4 more days. That's 3.5 more days, right? And then we'll see. So I think we're looking okay though here, as long as we don't lose this buy pressure. If we lose this buy pressure, it's going to be a little shaky, but we could. Doesn't mean it's over. We've seen it happen before where we lose the buy pressure back in January of 2024, but we only to open it back up, right? We did have a lot of stuff happening during that time frame, though. You had a Bitcoin ETF going live. You had a lot of stuff happening to kind of support Bitcoin's price. We'll see what happens if that actually starts to occur here. We're looking okay right now, though, on the weekly here. The others chart, or the daily. I'll go over the daily for Bitcoin. So the daily is something I have been looking at. Unfortunately, if we do go to bring that price down, it's gonna really suck, because this is our first green candle in about 14 days, about 2 weeks, right? That we just finished. I believe we're starting this one green. Sorry. So yeah, hopefully we can have a continuation of this, because we haven't had much green consecutive candles, since, if you want to go back to consecutive green candles, it takes us back to May 21st, and this didn't last very long, right? That's why I was harping on this the other days, because, the daily chart, we haven't had much, consecutive green days. And then before this, so this was a good little patch of 3 days. Then before that, you have to go all the way back to, the 7th of May. And this was great right here, kind of whenever things started to uptrend for Bitcoin at the start. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with Bitcoin's price, if we can have some consecutive green candles, or if we end up only having one green candle like this and going back into the red. The others, going back to the others on the weekly, the others is just basically telling Bitcoin. We don't have to get too deep into this. This is everything besides Bitcoin in the top 10. Just, I would say, let's watch Bitcoin right now. Ethereum is something to kind of keep your eye on, because it seems to be some forecasting by those options providers that thought the max pain price point for Ethereum, I was surprised to see at 2,600 whenever they had Bitcoin at 102. So I don't know. Keep your eye on Ethereum. That to me, I try to take data from the people that control a lot of the price action whenever we're not in risk on. And to me, that was something that made me raise my eyebrows. It seems like maybe they're thinking possibly that Ethereum might gain some strength here. All right, looking at the crypto bubbles, not very good on the daily, and you could see that from Shizzy showing kind of the ones that he was tracking. It was all red, and it's all red here as well.
This is why I'm bearish on Bitcoin right now, right? Because it's just the entire market right now is just checked out. I mean, sell in June and go away. I don't know. It definitely feels like a lot of people are checked out right now.
Yeah, I think it was probably because they were kind of checked in before that dump over the weekend, and I think it messed with people, and then it's like, oh, Bitcoin's back, but it takes some time to really gather the alt market, it seems, to get bullish, and then so we'll see. I do think if Bitcoin sustains its current price action and continually trends up and says, hey, I think I'm going to be knocking on possibly a new all-time high to end June or start July, I think this stuff will start to gather again and get bullish again. But you're right, it doesn't look good. It hasn't looked good for the alt market the past couple of days. We'll see if that, except for,
I'd love to see the weekly. Let's see the weekly real quick.
Except for Dog. Weekly doesn't
Yeah.
look as bad. It doesn't look
Well,
as bad.
there's
You
a
have a
few
couple.
outliners,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Syrup, Say, Inform. Everything else is kind of red. Aptos, a little bit in there, mixed in there. But yes, some of these got really beaten down over the weekend too. So that could be why you're seeing some green here. But I don't know, man. It's just, it feels like a crypto summer. It feels like a normal summer in crypto. You know, we're about to be in July. We're about to be in the heat of the summer, right? I mean, a lot of people call that July is the, you know, that's midsummer point. So
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens here, but yeah, I mean, you definitely see some of the tokens that were thriving when Bitcoin was rising up. You know, what 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, starting to get really hit, especially on this weekly. You see virtuals down 15.6% on the weekly. But let's go back to the daily, kind of see what's happening on the shorter term here. You know, we're starting to creep into the double digits now on the daily, which is not necessarily a good sign. But you know, it's not necessarily big names. It's stuff that like probably, you know, like Kaya or whatever. This one right here, CRV, getting close to that you know, double digits. But then you got Fartcoin down 5%. You got Bonk down 5%. Some of this meme coin markets down 2.2% for Sheep. And then, you know, the other stuff that's big, Sui down 4.5%, Virtual down 4.5%. So like some of these bigger brands haven't been hit super hard on the daily yet. If it starts to creep back up some of this stuff, then I'd be like, yeah, this is not going to be good probably for the next, you know, maybe week. Who knows? Let's take a look at the 101 to 200 here. Dog is up 5.5%, but I think we all know why Dog's up right now, right?
Tomorrow.
Everybody's anticipating the Kraken listing. So I'm curious, do you expect a dump because that's what typically happens whenever something gets listed on a big exchange?
It's hard to say because it's hard to say. I don't know what I'm kind of expecting the buy button to be used tomorrow by a lot of people who want to get in this, but really didn't have that buy button in front of them that were capable of doing that, right? So I don't know. We could see sideways or we could see a pump. I mean, I'm really kind of just sitting back and kind of watching and holding my dog long term anyway. So it would be nice to see a pump, but it's hard to say we're gonna pump when seeing everything red every day. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, and I also agree with myself here, saying buy high conviction plays and hodl. Yeah, I feel like this is kind of if Shizzy's right here, and we go into this a little bit of a dormant period. Definitely something I'm going to be doing is like consistently focusing on my high conviction plays, and that's it. Like adding cheap to those.
I'll tell you what, though, if you were smart last summer and you're buying in July, you made out like a bandit in September, October, right? I mean, especially when things got really bullish again. And then November, December, you did really well, right? So it's kind of like back in that period. But let's jump into the roll call here and kind of see who is here today. Guys, if you're here during these times, you are an absolute legend, and we appreciate you guys. Let's jump in the roll call. First is first on this show, and every day I like to jump on this spreadsheet here and kind of label in. So the first comment of the day is Webdro. Shout out to Webdro. 27th win of the year. You had 26 yesterday. You were 2 behind Lackey Lukey, and now you are ahead of Danny. You're now in second place. Congratulations, Webdro. Congratulations, all you guys who make this list as well. And let's see who finishes it out this week. I mean, this week was Lackey Lukey, Webdro. It'd be nice to have Danny Boy stealing that Friday, but we will see. Let's jump in the rest of the here. So we got Sir Cheetah. Yo, guys. Yo, what's up, man? Why do I know that name? I feel like I know this guy.
Cheaty. Maybe I don't know if you're getting crossed over.
Gotcha. And then we got Danny Boy on fire. Shout out to Danny Boy. Webdro is here. Moon Yacht Club is here. Shout out to Moon Yacht Club. Breakout onto the moon. Hydro Sapiens is GM on chain. My guy, Hydro, man, every day. Appreciate you, my friend. He's a dog, Krak. And yes, we're getting to that in a few minutes as well. Merlin Lucky is here every single day. Merlin Lucky, appreciate you, my friend. Rats Sats Dom is here. He said, "Bing bong, let's go with the bing bong."
Bing bong.
Malam Yuri says, "What's a good profit taking strategy for dog and other top runes?" I don't have one. I'm just gonna hodl until
believe in something. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah. We can get into that a little. I think maybe that's something we can get into for the alpha video, maybe for this weekend or something. Putting a strategy together. I think it's really important to know when the runes ecosystem is hot. Right now, the ecosystem is not hot. I know dog is hot, but we're talking when runes are hot, dog is at close to $1 billion cast, at least at 50 to 80 million. And I think, you probably need to have some sort of plan for when runes are hot. And when runes are not, the plan for me at least is to acquire the ones that I think will be good when they're hot, right? So we can get into that. Maybe I'll put something together for the weekend alpha video. Maybe.
Yeah, I think every room from this point is a minimum 10x. Some are 20x.
Well,
some are 30x.
not every room, but
really
you're talking about the top ones, right?
Everything that's badged on Matchgeek,
yeah,
right? I think is an easy 10x in my opinion. I don't really count anything that's not badged as a rune. I think they're just like, Lackey Lukey says, congrats, Webdro. 1+ ad is here. Bitcoin is truth is here. Chips and Dip, K99, Satoshi Nakamoto, Spindrift is here. Vader Time, shout to Vader Time. Hydro Sapien with some hearts. Choda, my guy, man, appreciate you. Cash Cats is here. Nighthawk, UXL, my guy, every single day. So GM Lambo tomorrow. It depends on how much dog you have. I do think the dog could hit 600 million market cap. It's just tough right now to say that, though. Now, I said it and immediately regretted it because I don't think it can hit 600 million market cap right now, like in the next couple of days. But
what billion?
No, $600 million market cap in the next couple of days. Yeah, so we're at 400 million now. So I was thinking that originally last week. If you would ask me, I would say 600. But now
did you see Kraken actually came out with a post? I know that we all know that dog was coming, but you can actually deposit now.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, cool. They put a post out there. So they said for sure it's coming tomorrow, and they give a deposit address or link.
So it's official that they are 100% listening tomorrow.
Official.
Okay, that's huge. Did dog pump on that?
I don't know. Did dog pump on it? I'll check while you're going.
Because that's pretty big. All right, so ASAP Benji is here. Chief Axel's here. Lucky Lukey again. No, it's been a while. No, with your Nuki, man. Appreciate you being here today. Hillbilly is here. Shout out to you, my friend Dumbo. It's been a while, Dumbo, man. Appreciate you that you were here today. He said, so weird to me that track is still low with everything the team is building. So it's not just track, it's everything. And track is a BRC20, and BRC20s just have no push at all right now. And you can't even like deposit your track in the Hydra, whatever yet. So that's you can't deposit track. Can't
really.
So I don't. Well, he said that on our interview.
Yeah.
Right now you can only deposit dog, tap, and a few other assets. Paulie says Bitcoin is simply too expensive per unit for retail. Most altcoins don't even have tangible product market fit. Meme coins or even rune tokens are where you'll see retail action from here on out. Yeah, I agree. Runes and meme coins are, I mean, until we see some bigger, maybe some ETFs, I mean, we're still seeing that July 15th as the ETF day. Maybe that's a spark. Maybe we can see like ETF summer. I don't know, but yeah, I think you're right with that. Stan says, Dumbo, are you hyped about Hypermall in El Salvador? A continued BTC oasis? If so, will the channel buy into the narrative?
What do you mean buy into the narrative? Like
buy property?
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, I don't know. It's weird. I've heard mixed like stories. I've heard like, that was like the big kind of push to get people like BTC maxis over to El Salvador, and then once they got there, they're like, it's not like heaven on earth, like everybody said. So, but I don't know. One thing for sure is like, the country's cleaned itself up and all that stuff. We'll see if it does become that like, oasis or whatever in the future. No reason to think it wouldn't, because they're just getting richer and richer, right?
Yeah, I did hear you can get like beachfront property for like $200K though. And that's why
nice.
a lot of Bitcoiners are headed that way. Max Kaiser apparently lives on a beach there, and like he lives on Bitcoin Beach. So
I wouldn't want to be his neighbor. He seems annoying.
Won't you be Max Kaiser's neighbor? Mike Self is here. Shout to myself. And then we have Paulie says meme coins or even rune tokens are where you'll find retail action. Yes, actually seeing that. You're actually seeing that though. Cash Cat says, let's go Kraken. Let's go 100%, man. Appreciate every single one of you guys. But let's try to jump back in to some news here. Then we're going to get into some dog stuff in a bit, because that seems to be the hottest topic anyway. So let me see where we are at. So All right. Sorry. Okay, here it is. Tether could become the world's largest Bitcoin miner by the end of 2025. They are buying insane amount of hash power right now. They're buying from every single miner as well. They're not even like they don't care about like if they're getting from this company or this company. They're just buying as many miners as they possibly can, and their hash power is already like pretty high, 7-8% of what it is. So potentially Tether might be trying to control Bitcoin's hash power.
Oh, is that good or bad?
That's terrible. I mean, that's decentralization. The opposite. That's decentralization, right? So, but what do you think about them potentially getting 14-15% of the hash power by the end of the year?
Whew. I always knew that they were, heavily involved with mining and stuff like that. I think they're just really trying to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible before this huge, Bitcoin hyperization or whatever they call it. And a couple of the things that we've seen, at least we haven't been able to dive into their books. There's a couple of things we've seen. We know that they're, because this is public knowledge, right? In terms of like the bond acquisitions or whatever with the US, we know they're in the top like 15,
top 10,
or top 10. So that's huge right there. So that makes me think that they have like a lot of Bitcoin, a lot of other stuff. So opening their books, could show just like how crazily like collateralized they actually are. You know what I mean? But I would like to see like how much Bitcoin they actually own, because it seems that they're owning a ton, and this is like that's their goal, is just to get as much Bitcoin as they can, get be a top 10 bondholder, as well. And I don't know, man, just seems like a formidable force.
To your point, that's one of the rumors why they're not opening up the books, is because they're actually backing the stablecoins by Bitcoin. And they might not have, they have a crap ton of Bitcoin. They're probably one of the second or third largest holders. And the rumor is that they might be backing these stablecoins with Bitcoin. But Bitcoin's the most liquid asset in the world. It's actually more liquid than bonds. So, and maybe they're waiting for that to happen. Maybe they're waiting for Bitcoin to be you're able to back Bitcoin against some of these assets, like stablecoins and stuff like that, in order for them to open the books. So that is one of the rumors why they're not opening the books, is because they're using Bitcoin to back some of these stablecoins.
Yeah, I think they might be using that strategy for the Lightning thing too. I don't know. I got to dig deep into it. I'm just kind of speculating there.
SEC Commissioner Hester says in-kind redemptions for crypto ETFs are on the horizon. So eventually in the future, she's saying that you will be able to, let's just say you buy a Bitcoin ETF. If you want to withdraw that Bitcoin to take a loan out against it or whatever, or put it in your bank or whatever, you will be able to do that here eventually. All ETFs will be, you'll be able to redeem your Bitcoin or your Ethereum. So that's to say like 300 shares of this ETF equals 1 Bitcoin. You'll be able to basically destroy those shares and take out that Bitcoin.
So there'll just be like a conversion rate or something that they get per share.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That is awesome, because like, there'll probably be some whales, some TradFi whales that want to do that if they're getting real estate or whatever they, like you mentioned as an example. But this also just it's another example that the SEC's like actually working to innovate the space instead of taking it back, right? So kudos to Hester Pierce. We've always known that she's been pro innovation for crypto, and everybody else was kind of holding her back over there before.
100%. Next thing here, Trump calls Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell a stupid person.
No, a very stupid person.
A very stupid person. Sorry, very. But it has become interviewing candidates to replace Jerome Powell with 3 to 4 names under consideration. So this is a big deal, because he has interviewed. So there's 7 to 12 voters that vote on interest rate cuts, and he's interviewed 3 or 4 of those people. So he's technically going around Jerome Powell and saying, hey, he's talking to the people that are voting with Jerome Powell right now, and they might be switching. We might get a cut in July.
That's what I'm saying. So, dude, this is like, is this the art of the deal right here? He's basically saying, hey, you want the job?
Yeah.
You gotta get this loser out.
Show me, homie.
Like, yeah, exactly. I need a little proof in the pudding that you're gonna be like on board. I mean, I know we're kind of, joking about this and having fun with it, but I mean, first of all, it could happen. That could be like all of a sudden they just like 3 people start voting saying they want it to happen, right?
Well, we had 2 people last week come out and say they're open.
I know. Are they all 3 being interviewed? Like, probably. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I think it's really funny. First of all, like the headlines he drops are hilarious. And look, you might hate him, love him, whatever. You can't, deny the fact that the guy's entertaining with his headlines. And this was something that he's been saying about, Powell. But yeah, you make a great point. It could be some of these people, but it also could be somebody that he's really, kind of grooming for this position as well. It's like, hey, look. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because obviously you want to have integrity for like what the the department is supposed to be doing for the betterment. But I do feel like there's a bit of pride kind of hung up between these two right now. At the end of the day, 3 meetings left or 4 meetings still?
4 meetings left in this year.
2 cuts, and so we're gonna get them. I hope we get one in July.
The market is forecasting 2 cuts for this year and 6 for next year.
That's nuts.
So, I mean, Jerome Powell is done in March. I think February is his last month as chairman. And then in March, the new person appointed by Trump takes over. And then we could potentially get 4 cuts from March, April, May, June. And that's kind of where I'm seeing my top at next June, right? So, like sell May, go away type of area.
I mean, 6 cuts next year. That's going to be amazing.
So, we'll see. Next thing here, White House official says U.S. government has an accumulation plan to buy Bitcoin for the strategic Bitcoin reserve. So they had this event yesterday. Bitcoin magazine was holding this event. I think it was in New York. And basically this guy came on stage. He's a part of the Trump administration. I didn't get his name, but he just came out and he said, we have an accumulation plan to buy Bitcoin. So this is, that's huge. This is new news as well.
Yeah, this is big. This is big, and it seems like the government is starting to slowly kind of trust this administration a little bit more. Not necessarily, not as bad as it was in the beginning of the year, and then you got to like the tariff situation. But as of late, it seems like that kind of stuff, at least internal like stuff, has calmed down. So this could be good to where they do kind of get a little bit of support more and more. And for the digital asset part of our current government, they're all starting to get on the same page. So this would be huge.
100%. Speaking of Trump, Trump-backed Oral Liberty will publish its first stablecoin USD1 audit within days, revealing its reserve backing. So they're going by the rules here. Obviously, with Trump as president, they're going to make sure that everything's legit, and they're going to be opening up the books tomorrow for the very first time. How do you feel about USD1?
Setting the standard, right? It's all about like the regulation coming in with this new bill and being like just really positive in terms of getting everything kicked off, right? And trying to be like a like leading competitor in this industry. Like they're just like, hey, we're opening up, nothing to hide. Everybody should do the same. Follow suit. This is the new standard. So.
Yeah, I do love it. I think that it's really smart. I think, obviously the Trump kids are ahead of World Liberty Fi. I think it's Eric Trump is the head guy there, and then Don Jr. and then the king of DeFi apparently is So we'll see. Moving along here. So former Blackstone executive and Tether co-founder to raise $1 billion via a SPAC to build a listed crypto reserve vehicle, which includes BTC, ETH, and Sol for Bloomberg. So this is a former Blackstone executive. This guy actually went and helped I think it's Paulo start Tether. So he's one of the co-founders there. And he is, I don't know if he's still a part of that Tether, but now he's going to do a SPAC. We're going to see potentially a whole bunch of SPACs this summer. And SPAC, if you don't know what a SPAC is where you can basically, if they're already on the stock market, you can actually just buy it basically, and now become that stock market asset and change the ticker and do whatever you want. So we're already seeing Popoliano do this. We saw Jack Mallers do this, and now we're seeing the Tether co-founder, former Blackstone executive, do this as well.
I mean, this is, more and more adoption coming in. I mean, Blackstone is a traditional TradFi, child company, right? So, and they're big in real estate and other asset management as well. But big. The SPAC, I'm not too familiar with the SPAC part of the stock market, right? That whole process. I need to dive deeper into that. But this is the second time I think you've talked about use the word SPAC in crypto.
Yeah,
it's weird kind of seeing these like TradFi terms, get in merged in here. You know what I mean? And so, It's going to be interesting to see how this type of stuff plays out, because once you start to use lingo that the TradFi guys are used to, then you're bringing it into our world, and that invites them over too, right?
So what a SPAC stands for is Special Purpose Acquisition Company. So you can actually, let's just say you have a check. If you have a money, right, a blank check with money, you can potentially take that blank check and go public with it, right? It's a shell company. It's basically you're just taking this blank check, saying, hey, this is $500 million. We're gonna be buying a company, but this is now you already started the process of that. Now someone can come in and basically buy that stock, just like how you come in and buy a company.
Okay. Are you in it to flip it as the creator of the SPAC?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So
like this is something that what's the Bill Ackman? He's famous for doing SPACs. Like he's famous for taking like open check companies public and stuff like that. And I have to do more research into it too. But this is how companies like remember in 2020 all those companies. I mean, we talk about them all the time. The electric truck.
Nikola, all those. Okay.
So like it's a way of you going public easily. You just
with some capital raised, basically.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So this company is going to be a listed crypto reserve vehicle, which is going to include all these in there. Which honestly,
well,
I know from what I heard before, SPACs are kind of risky a little bit because they're new and stuff like that. But this, to me, depending on what the reserves are going to show, once they start acquiring them, if they haven't yet, I think this is probably a good opportunity for people to go into.
And what people do, they go in and they'll buy SPACs. They'll buy it because they're already listed, right? Because you don't know which one.
They get them cheap too, right?
Yeah. So people come in and they'll just buy these SPACs, and the price of these SPACs will just go up. And then, but you're hoping that the SPAC becomes this company. You don't know, right? And if you do know, you have insider information, and then you can go to jail for that, right? So it's just, you're kind of like you're guessing for that type of stuff. But moving along here, Coinbase launches its wrapped Cardano, CB ADA, and wrapped Litecoin CBLTC on Base. So you can officially go over to Base Chain and buy ADA, buy Litecoin. They're apparently going to be bringing wrapped Tau, wrapped everything. You're going to be able to buy everything you want on Base Chain, and they're going to be adding the liquidity from the exchange to the DEX, which is Velodrome.
Yeah, I'm excited about this, right? Because they're starting to bring in these wrapped blue chips, right? And we've only seen the ones that have been extremely like dominant, and actually it's really only been wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped Ethereum, and that's pretty much it, other than these stable coins that come in. But now I feel like this is like that next step of evolution for the crypto market. Right now, whenever you're starting to wrap ADA, you're starting to wrap Litecoin on Base. That's going to be so crazy. But that's good for Litecoin. Litecoin probably loves this, right? Because now, people can probably bridge Litecoin in somehow. Is it the only option is to do it through Coinbase's centralized exchange?
So you can go buy it. I don't know if you can bridge it directly. I think Coinbase is doing all that for you.
Gotcha. But there could be something like that in the future, though, if you think about it, right? Because like our space is only going to be innovating forward.
Well, think about it now. To create a bridge, all you have to do is like someone like Wormhole or somebody like send
Litecoin over or something.
Yeah. So they'll do it for you. They'll have ADA or CB ADA on the side. You send ADA, they lock it, and they give you that on the other side. So this opens up a lot of different projects now, being able to be that bridge for these.
I feel like this is actually really good for Bitcoin assets, and I'll tell you why. Because like everybody's been so like, we got through that tribalism and like layer one maxi thing, which was like annoying. But now like this shows that like a big entity like Coinbase is kind of promoting basically what we were talking should happen anyways with Bitcoin layer one assets because of the tech stack issues, right? And so now like theoretically, let's say Coinbase launches or lists dog, they'll have a CB dog on there.
CB
you know
dog,
what I mean? And exactly right. And at that point, now we'll kind of how we handled wrapped ETH from Ethereum to Base or Arbitrum or whatever other chains provided support for it. Now you're going to start being able to have that same kind of perception. I think it's all about perception, by the way. It's about like wrapped ETH works on these chains, but whenever you try to do wrap Doge back in 2021, they were just like, not interested in it because it doesn't, you know what I mean? What's the reason? Now, like you're creating environments to do stuff. So on base, they'll probably have some sort of DeFi to do stuff with these type of wrap tokens. That's going to increase the want to bring stuff over from Litecoin to base to have the CBLTC to do something special with Litecoin. Maybe Litecoin Foundation partners with base or something, and they do something with yield or whatever. So I don't know. I just think this is really good, and it's good because I feel like it's moving our space forward.
Well, 100%. I 100% agree. But think about it this way. So base is the EVM. Think about how easy it is now to bring Litecoin and ADA to places like Merlin, places like Botonics, places like, so you know what I mean? So now you're kind of bringing these assets into the Bitcoin L2s and different places. So now, I mean, once you're EVM, you can go pretty much anywhere. That's EVM. So now you're opening DeFi up to all these coins on all these Bitcoin L2s, all these Ethereum L2s, and Polygon Matic can now have, an ADA Matic pool. That's the pools that I would like to get into, right? I would like to get into two coins that have
our dominant blue chip.
Dominant blue chips that I know are going to kind of go up together. I'm not worried about one dipping with the other one going up. I'm kind of like, I'm not going to experience permanent loss from an ADA Litecoin pool.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly why they're doing this, to be honest. It makes sense, right? And like we haven't been able to do that before. You've never been able to do a Polkadot or Optimism LP ever. And so I'm not saying that's going to come to base, but they're starting it. They're starting this kind of mindset.
I mean, today you could do ADA LT and Litecoin.
And you might have some fundamentalists that are listening to the show right now and be like, "Oh, you guys are like promoting blah blah blah." You have to remember, like, things innovate, right? Things like innovate with technology. This is inevitable. I mean, if you had that mindset back when the internet launched, then we'd be stuck like with 56K modems, because they might be more secure than like the faster internet or something like that. But they were able to innovate while, with time going on to continually make the internet secure and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's just tech, guys. It's about going along with the journey and being like a part of the innovation, which is really cool. Obviously, there's going to be companies that come in and try to get theirs. And, I do hope that Bitcoin will always be like that safe haven on layer one that you always can go back to and like self-custody everything. I want that for sure. But like for the rest of the space and the assets too, you got to innovate. And that's where I think we're headed.
Yeah, 100%. This actually pumped Coinbase's stock a little bit too, because Coin now officially back at IPO levels. So if you bought in around the IPO here, you're just getting back to the IPO number. Like you're just getting there.
When was the IPO? 2021.
It was. Remember that first peak?
Yeah.
Where Bitcoin hit 64,000. That was like Coinbase listing day, and then we dipped all
April.
Summer, then
2021.
It was like the same weekend or the same week as Elon going on Saturday Night Live.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, imagine. Well, look, people that complain about that, like, so I remember you kind of telling me some stuff about like you advising your sister and all that stuff, right? And she was not so happy. There's a story that I heard over the weekend that was worse. It was like this guy that was like and the worst is like he was a full-on believer of Bitcoin, and this was in the 2020, 2021, like boom, sold his house or mortgaged his house completely, sold his car. Did everything, went full into Bitcoin, and then got his wife to believe in everything. And then in 2022, when the crash happened, it went down to 16K. He sold. And like I was talking to some friends having dinner. Like it was the kind of like double date things with our wives, and I was like, oh my god, that sucks. And I was like, oh man, like do you guys ever talk about Bitcoin anymore? He's like, no, man, like we can't even bring it up because like it feels so bad. But like,
but you don't over leverage yourself to where you have to sell. That's the problem.
That goes back to like leverage like issues, like even leverage issues with trading, right? It's the same mindset. If you over leverage, you're always going to find your way to step into something bad, right? But I brought that up because these people might be complaining about coin going back to IPO levels. Think about people that have been holding Bitcoin forever, right?
Yeah. So no, 100%. Metaplanet bought another 100. They love these weird numbers. Last time it was 111. Now it's 1234 for 132.7 million. So they officially passed Tesla now as a next holder, like institutional holder. So they're up there. I mean, they're going full ham here. They just bought on Sunday. They usually buy with Sailor, but now it's now Thursday, and they're like, let's buy more. It does seem like Metaplanet, dude, is going to be one of the largest companies in the world one day. If they, I mean, they're already going to. I mean, 12,000 Bitcoin. It's insane.
Yeah. They're the little brother. They're the little Japanese company brother of MicroStrategy. I mean, but seriously, if you look at like they saw something that worked and they said, okay, we're gonna follow a similar trajectory. There's not much that other than their original business model, whatever that is, that's like really like intriguing or gonna revenue increasing as this opportunity that we have in front of us, and they went all in, and they're gonna benefit from that. I truly believe that.
Yeah, 100%. Bit Digital announced a strategic transition to become a pure play Ethereum staking and treasury company. Bit Digital Nasdaq BTBT operates high performance computing data centers for AI, ML workloads, and large scale Bitcoin mining across the US and Canada. The firm holds 24,000 ETH and 417 Bitcoin, but plans to convert all that Bitcoin into Ethereum, winding down mining operations and just becoming an Ethereum staking company that's going to take all that ETH and just earn 6% a year. And that's all they're going to do. They're going to mine anymore. Bit Digital is now going to be ETH Digital.
I mean, I'm not really blaming them too much for that decision that they're making. If you think about it, like,
dude.
Yeah, that you save all the energy. That's why, like, we talked about it too before, is that the big, huge entities that mine, they're the winners, right? And even these small, medium-sized warehouses, they're transitioning into AI power mining for people with their GPUs, right? But to me, this is they cut the energy costs, right? And now they just purely stake with everything, and I think it's a safe play, right? I mean, if you're thinking about it, 6% a year with millions and millions of dollars, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, think about it. 100 million you put up, worth of Ethereum. That's $6 million a year.
Yeah,
every year.
Passive,
and you don't got to do anything but hold. Like you're not paying no employees, nothing, right? All you're doing is hold. One guy can run that company. So, not even a guy, and at this point, AI. All right, we're getting to the end here. Judge Torres denies Ripple and SEC's motion to amend a final judgment, blocking a fast-tracked $50 million settlement and keeping institutional XRP sales under legal constraint. And then Ripple integrates Wormhole to bring XRP ledger and EVM sidechain to 35. So Ripple's like just doesn't care at this point. They're like, whatever, Judge Torres. I don't even know why do the judges try to control everything? Like, that's something that's fucking annoying about our system. Judges are just like
I think this kind of goes towards what you complain about with Ripple, though. If you think about it, right? So the 50 million settlement, whatever. I actually don't think that's much money
pennies,
for them.
Yeah.
That's
like,
but keeping institutional XRP sales under legal constraint. So meaning that there needs to be like approvals or something, or like eyes on institutional XRP sales. They don't like that.
But why?
Because they want to. They don't like it because they want to. Like Ripple doesn't like it because they want to do whatever they want with their XRP they hold. You know what I mean? If they're gonna sell it to buy an entity, they don't want like scrutiny or eyes on it, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of goes towards like if they're doing the wrong thing, they're gonna be caught. Like it's gonna be out in the open, right?
Yeah.
Go on to the next thing. The next part of this headline. Wasn't there a part 2? Yeah, Ripple integrates Wormhole. Okay, now this to me is, did they integrate this Wormhole to kind of like to leak XRP out to these EVM sidechains to be able to be like,
that's what it seems like.
This is our sister company, and we don't like what they do legally is kind of, or like trying to figure out a loophole
or a wormhole
out of this, right? It's gonna be interesting. Obviously, like the EVM, the wormhole EVM helps them in terms of being able to have XRP in other environments, and then people buying more XRP to put them in those environments. So it helps like overall, but I don't know if they're going to use this as a loophole to kind of go around that judgment there.
Yeah, 100%. Kraken introducing Krak, the money app for people. Me and you both downloaded this morning. You guys can go to Apple, type in Krak, make sure it's the right one. I think there's only one there, honestly. And then you sign in with your Kraken account like we did, and now so basically what Krak is, we talked about it a little bit in the beginning, but you're able to, like, let's just say me and Yagobi went out to dinner. It was $200. I send him $100. Now I can send him $100 in USD. Or I can send them $100 in any asset on Kraken. Tomorrow, Dog's going to be listed. So potentially I can pay in Dog for anything. And then he has the choice to sell that dog or keep it. So you do have to go back to the Kraken app to buy and sell. No. I learned that you can convert this morning. So you can convert that in the USD or into Bitcoin or whatever you want to do. But it's pretty big. Kraken now getting competitor to Venmo, competitor to Cash App.
Yeah, I love it. I love everything Kraken's doing. I mentioned that I think Kraken's going to be the centralized exchange that rises above this cycle, and I think they've been suppressed a lot because of their court dealings with the previous corrupt SEC chair, right, and all that stuff that they were doing. And so they have the opportunity to really thrive this cycle, and I love like their app. I downloaded it. I downloaded the Krak app, and I was talking to my wife too. I was like, they're coming after like the Venmos and stuff because this is like the most advanced version of something like that with Web3 integrated, right? So you can still send USD with debit card, credit card, but if you want to send crypto, you can send crypto. Dog's going to be part of this now, and maybe some other runes and other tokens that are popular within the crypto ecosystem. So I love what Kraken's doing. I want them to continue to innovate and push forward like they're doing.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of Kraken, let's just jump into Dog listing on Kraken tomorrow. What are you expecting? So I wasn't, when I wrote this, I wasn't sure like 100% is going to be in there, but I mean, they posted this. Dog on Bitcoin will be available on Kraken tomorrow. Markets are currently in post-only mode, so you can actually send your dog now to Kraken and have it ready to. I mean, I don't know if this is good because a lot of people might be trying to sell on Kraken tomorrow. Because I don't know. Well, it's going to be dog. What do you think, man? What do you think happens tomorrow with the price?
I don't know. I was thinking about, typically whenever you have this hype buildup of a listing, the price dumps. But I think Dog has gone through so much in terms of, like a lot of, like, I think people were talking about what's that, Gate.io having some like market manipulation with Dog and stuff like that. And so I actually think that, we hang around where we are right now, or we get a little bit of a bump. And when I say a bump, I mean maybe like a 10%, 20% bump at the most. So looking at maybe 440 to 480 on the upside. If we do dump a little bit, maybe 380 to 350. It also depends on Bitcoin's price too. Like if Bitcoin dumps hard and stuff, like sentiment matters. But I think, Dog is so resilient that, we could benefit and keep that continual momentum going. Not crazy, like you said, maybe not the 600 million, but, I wouldn't be shocked if we see 420, 440, 460, something like that tomorrow and the next day. And this momentum on the social media side I haven't seen in a very, very, very long time, and I think it will continue. Kraken's campaign is going to just continually amplify it, and I think more and more people come into this community, and I think it becomes the biggest meme community of this cycle. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. More people know about Dog because of Kraken right now. You got to remember, Kraken has, let's just go to the Kraken here. I mean, Kraken, they have, what is it? 1.6 million followers. So 1.6 million people are seeing this pop up. 1.6 million people know now that might not have known last month that there's coins running on Bitcoin, right? Which kind of, all right. So let's talk about it for a second. So Dog, right? I think we're both agreement that we're going to hit like 450 million, 460 maybe being at the top, and just kind of hanging out between 4 and 5 until Bitcoin decides that it wants to go up, or Ethereum hits 2,600, 2,800, even 3,000, right? But I do think tomorrow is going to be a big opening day when people say, okay, what are some other of these Bitcoin tokens? And they see stuff like Mim, Gizmo, Billy, Lobo, Quidium, Pups, right? I think tomorrow you're going to see 10% gains from a lot of these smaller caps, Billy, Pups, because of the fact that they are now a legitimate asset because of Dog. And I don't think people are ready for that. But I think Dog's up like 5-6% tomorrow, but Gizmo, Billy, Pups are going to be up 10-20%, and maybe even going forward into all of July having the biggest run-ups.
Especially if there's like other like runes infrastructure announcements or something like that from Kraken. I don't know what to expect on that front, but yeah, I agree. I think the other runes are going to benefit from it, right? Leonidas actually posted something, I want to say it was maybe 2 days ago, and it said something like this. It said, I can't speak for Kraken, but I don't think they would have built out complete runes infrastructure for only dogs or for only dog. I think other tokens will thrive with it or something along the lines with that. And to me, that got me bullish because I think he's right. If they did build some sort of infrastructure, first of all, I think other centralized exchanges have probably reached out to their team and said, hey, like, how are you listing this Bitcoin token? Like, how is this happening? You know what I mean? And I think I'll say this, I think there's probably going to be a follow-up listing within maybe a month or so of another large centralized exchange that either HTX, crypto.com, something, because you can't ignore this community anymore. Like there's no way to, and if it continually grows, which I think it will, there's no way of ignoring it.
Yeah. So what's the play right now? Let's just say you're bullish on the next one getting listed. What is it? Is it Mim? Is it Billy? Like, is it Lobo? Like, what do you think is the next token to get listed? Let's just say Kraken's put out a thing next week saying, hey, we're going to list one rune every week. What's the next rune?
I think it's a toss-up between Billy and Mim. And I say that because I think the communities and, the branding behind them, Gizmo has a fighting chance in that too.
What about Pups?
No, I just don't. I feel like I don't know, man. I just feel like I think they eventually will, but I just don't think they would be the next one. I think all the ones I named just now will get on if they continue with this listing type of situation, right? But I do think also if there's other communities listening in right now, I think you guys need this right now, the time to get live, start stepping it up, right? Mimic what the dog community is doing, because that's obviously a blueprint of success there.
100%. And if you wanted to buy some runes, how would you do it? Is there a wallet maybe you wanted to look at there?
Yeah. I mean, so Tokyo Wallet, obviously you can buy runes directly in that wallet, so that's a way to do it. They did partner with Sats Terminal to allow you to do that, and we can actually hit on that if you want to.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. So, if you want, let's just say you want the front run Kraken and you wanted to get some runes today because you think tomorrow is going to be really bullish for a lot of them, like we do. The best thing to do, if you wanted to do it on your PC, you'll have to download the BlueStacks app. That's what I did here. I do like it. I'm able to put a lot of different apps on here that are from my phone, or you can go to your phone and download it. But for this one today, I'm going to be showing you guys the exact app. So the exact thing you're seeing here is exactly what you're going to see on your phone. First thing you want to do, you can import your wallet. Or you can create a new one. I'm gonna teach you guys how to create a new one today. So I'm gonna create a new one here. And this is one thing I love about Tokyo's wallet here. That if you kind of go here, you can kind of pick your thing here. I'm gonna pick dog for this one, right? But you can pick snack, you can pick hot, you can pick all these other ones. Like I said, I'm gonna pick dog for this one. I'm gonna put my name in here. I'm gonna put Shizzy. All right, and then I'm gonna hit next. Boom! I just created the wallet. It's done. Like I'm ready to go. Like that's how easy it was. I don't need to put my seed phrase in, nothing like that, guys. I highly recommend that you do eventually back up that wallet. If you go over to here, there is the backup. Where is the backup on this wallet?
It's actually on the other page. Go back to the other page. There it is, right there, underneath, right there in the middle. Right up.
Right there. Okay, I'll back up the wallet, self-custodian, and then my seed phrase pops up, right? Where is my seed phrase? Secret seed phrase.
Is that not it?
It's only it's only 6 words though.
Maybe it is for them. I don't know. Oh, you know what? This is probably based off of like the Cardano one. So you can.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I don't know how many words are on that side, but yeah, there's the backup button right there.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is basically how you would do it, guys. You can go in there and then, but if you, let's just say you wanted to receive some Bitcoin, you'll go here, receive. You'll change this to Bitcoin from Cardano, right?
No, no. So you need to go back to that, go back to receive,
Okay.
and then click and slide to the right. Click and move it to the right. So
Where am I
click on
moving?
the QR code. Click on the
Okay.
QR. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then you'll hit copy, and
Yep.
then you'll send Bitcoin to that, right? And then we can kind of jump to you because you actually added some Bitcoin to your wallet today, right?
Yes, I did. I'm gonna show my screen here. So I'm sitting here with a little bit of Bitcoin here. So I'm gonna swap for some dog since dog just got listed, like Shizzy said, right? So and this is the exact way it would look on your phone. So at the very bottom here, you see I have $26 of Bitcoin. If you go here, that's the swap option. So you just click that. It's the two arrows going back, switching over. So that you can actually swap for many, many runes here, right? But I'm gonna swap for dog. So I'll click on dog, go to the moon as my option. All right, how much Bitcoin am I going to swap? Let's see here. So I want to just do 0.0000, let's say 5. And I'm hit okay. So I'm gonna do $5 of Bitcoin and I'm gonna hit review swap.
And you can do all this just from the wallet, guys. So all you
Yeah.
really need is that Tokyo wallet, and then send some Bitcoin from Cash App, from Coinbase, wherever you can buy Bitcoin at, and then you can easily get some of these runes.
Yep. And so it says fee rate right here, 5 sats per VByte. I'm gonna do confirm swap, and then it's gives a double confirm here. I'm gonna confirm, and bam, it is creating the swap there. Swap order success. Okay, so it is Bitcoin, so you got to remember that it does take a Bitcoin block. So once that happens, you'll see dog down here, but it's really simple. It's that simple that we just showed you exactly how to do it from step
It's
1
just 2
to
minutes.
the last
Set it
steps.
up
Yeah.
to buy dog. You do it like he did say. You do have to send that Bitcoin there and do the swap. So 10-minute Bitcoin block to send it in, 10-minute Bitcoin block to swap. But I mean, the actual process itself is minutes, guys. But make sure you guys back that wallet up. Take all precautions. You guys can figure it all out. It's pretty easy. But yeah, that is your Tokyo, guys. Go download it today. I highly recommend it. But that is our show, guys. We really appreciate every single one of you guys. We have 280 people here on YouTube and X, not to mention everyone on Twitch, Abstract, Rumble, Kick, and we'll be uploading to Spotify later. Appreciate every single one of you guys.
Absolutely, guys. Without you guys, we couldn't do this. And thank you so much for supporting us each and every day. You guys are awesome. But also, our partners are kind of the second half of that. So if you could check them out, we would greatly appreciate that as well. Sats Terminal is the DEX aggregator. We actually just use Sats Terminal through Tokyo Wallet just now. But if you're looking to swap for runes, you can do so at satsterminal.com. And if you're going to do that, you can actually earn, for the first time you connect your wallet, you'll earn 1,000 Amber points. And Amber points are going to go towards giving back to the early adopters, is what their CEO Stan said. So make sure you are earning as many Amber points as possible. It's super exciting stuff. It's going to be coming with that Amber points, kind of what it's going to be related to in the future there. But you can swap for all the top runes there. They also have Alkane support as well. Alkanes is starting to heat up, guys. There's some crazy DeFi stuff that's happening from those guys from the Alchemist team. The Halfbanger and Bunzies of the world are definitely doing some crazy stuff there. But you can swap for Alkanes directly on Sats Terminal as well. They're going to be having some future features with their bridging and staking as well. We'll let them kind of get into that and announce that once it comes live in the near future. Head over to satsterminal.com, dive into their docs, join their community, and make sure you are accumulating that Amber. And then BetBTC is the predictions marketplace of the Bitcoin ecosystem. All you need is some Bitcoin, 6 Bitcoin blocks, and you can start placing bets in their Blitz markets. Their Blitz markets is a 10-minute countdown that allows you to lock in a price either with Bitcoin, BNB, or Solana, pick up or down, and then you get 10 more minutes to see if you were correct or incorrect. And it's pretty fun way of leveraging without using actual leverage on a perps dex there. They're going to also add features to allow you guys to be able to earn up to 1.5% of the total volume of custom markets. I repeat, custom markets that you guys are going to create. So think of a decentralized poly market. So if you have a good social following, man, this is going to be a good way to earn, right? Because especially if you're good at creating markets, right? You're basically going to be a market maker here, but super, super interesting and something I'm looking forward to in the near future. But make sure you head over to betbtc.win. You're going to be able to earn points in their point system very, very soon. Stay tuned for updates and follow them on their X account and join their Discord as well. Emblem Vault is the interoperability tooling of the Bitcoin ecosystem. You're going to be able to jump your ordinals from Bitcoin layer 1 to Ethereum, which you can actually already do. They have the Taproot Wizards collection enabled right now, so you can actually jump a Taproot Wizard to Ethereum, take a loan out against it on Gandhi and pay back that loan and get your wizard back and send it back to Bitcoin. You can actually technically do that. You can send over rare Pepes as well, as they have enabled counterparty as well. But they're going to be doing this for multiple EVMs, abstracts interested, base. Eventually, you're going to be able to do it on Solana as well. And you're going to be able to utilize their AI agent hustle tool to do it once they add the Bitcoin tech stack to Hustle. But right now, you can use Hustle to help you research in the jungles of Solana. You can ask Hustle, hey, give me a safe 5x, and Hustle will bring you back multiple options and give you reasons why he picked these tokens, right? But also, Hustle is going to be able to help you jump these ordinals as well eventually once they add Bitcoin's tech stack, and they're going to be integrating many things to Hustle. The one thing I'm excited about that's coming very soon is the conditional trading, guys. Imagine telling Hustle, hey, Hustle, once Solana drops back 20% from this price point right now, get into an entry position and then take profit once it goes up 50% from there. Super, super exciting stuff. Right now, you can actually utilize Hustle, test Hustle for free, but in the near future, you're going to have to either acquire their new Hustle token, which is going to be migrated from the Tensor token to the Hustle token, and it's going to benefit the entire holder community for doing that. But you're going to have to use the Hustle token for access of Agent Hustle in the future. So make sure you're taking advantage of that right now to see if this is something that you like. So head over to agenthustle.ai today to check that out. Also, they're going to have a TGE for their Bitcoin Rune coming in September /October. You can participate in a pre-sale environment if you head over to OpenSea, search Emblem Founder Vault Keys. You can purchase one of these NFTs, and once it gets close to the TGE, they'll give you instructions on how to get those runes into your Bitcoin wallet. Head over to emblem.vision today. Learn all about the team. They are amazing, and they are constantly innovating, dropping products and features every single day. All right, and next up is Artura.finance, which is the perps and leverage DEX of the Bitcoin ecosystem. As Shizzy said earlier, they're launching on Botonix, Bitcoin Layer 2, very, very soon. Everybody's excited about the Spider Chain launching, but they're excited about Artura also launching, because you're going to be able to trade eventually, not right after launch, I don't think, but very shortly after probably, is you're going to be able to launch trade Bitcoin fungible tokens like Dog, Billion Dollar Cat, Ordi, and Sats. But they're going to kind of kick it off with the basics with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then they'll start to introduce XRP, Tau, blue chip tokens as well. You can participate in adding liquidity to earn passively if you add liquidity to their staking vaults as well. Head over to Artura.finance. They're going to have information about their XP dashboard, because you're going to be able to earn with Artura and Botonix, and eventually Hemi as well, as they'll be launching on Hemi Bitcoin Layer 2 not too long after the Botonix launch. But dive in, join their community. They have a bunch of expert traders over there helping out, building their own kind of communities as well. Head over to Artura.finance today. And then Fluid Tokens is the UTXO Wizard dev starting off on Cardano, still building there. You can actually access their Aquarium platform and earn Babel fees by participating in that system. But they also built on Bitcoin, and they were the first to offer staking vaults on Bitcoin Layer 1. They offered staking vaults for Dog, Go to the Moon for 2 seasons, Season 1 and Season 2. Season 2's claiming is still open, so if you participate in that, make sure you go and claim your Dog rewards as well as your original token staked, all in one transaction. Season 3 is coming up, guys. It's going to be towards the end of July and the beginning of August, so that's something you might want to participate in. And then also, if you are a founder and you want a staking vault, head over to their Discord. They got a team waiting to answer any question that you have. You can also utilize their airdrop tool if you need to airdrop runes to your community. You can either upload a CSV file, which is a Google Sheets file, or an Excel file with the addresses already on there, or you can do it manually one by one and stack them up and add them that way. But it's really beneficial. It's really efficient for you from a cost perspective as well as a time perspective to airdrop using this tool. Head over to fluidtokens.com and learn more about that team. And then Tokyo Wallet, we just talked about them. You can swap for runes directly inside of the app. If you have an Apple iPhone, head over to the Apple App Store. If you have an Android, head over to the Google Play Store. And you can swap for either Bitcoin runes or Cardano tokens, as they have partnered with both aggregators from both ecosystems. There are more ecosystems coming because they want to build a one-stop shop. This is a multi-chain smart wallet. They want you guys to be able to do everything you need to do directly from the wallet itself. There's an alpha section where you can find us there and other YouTube channels as well. Head over to Tokyo.io today. And then Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin strength with the power of AI with their Wizard 0.3 version to guide you through Merlin Chain's ecosystem. The Wizard can actually help you do DeFi functionalities like staking, swapping, etc. And if you are looking to stake and participate in securing the chain with their proof of stake, you can participate in 3 ways. One, with Bitcoin, which I believe that's pretty much closed up right now, but we'll see if they have openings in the future. But you can actually stake Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. 2, you can participate in their flexible staking, which is staking Merlin Chain token to on a day-to-day basis. Now, to withdraw, there's a 7-day process, just a FYI, but you can stake in the flexible to earn 15% APR. And you get to actually claim the rewards on a day-to-day basis. So that's where the benefit comes there. And then the bonding is a 6-month lockup period, but you earn 45% APR and you can claim those rewards day-to-day as well. So make sure you check that out. You can jump into their docs about everything that they're offering there. Merlin Chain's doing some really, really big things with partners with Binance Alpha, Binance Perps, Wrapped Bitcoin DAO. They're a part of the exclusive membership there. And, they're on the roadmap of Kraken as well. So, you got to hand it to the team. They are doing what they need to do in terms of being movers and shakers in the Bitcoin ecosystem, guys. Don't forget our integrated partners in Jungle, formerly Foxy AI, building metaverse on Bitcoin called the Bitverse, and their first-person shooter game called Cypher Striker. And they have onboarded Bitcoin Derby as well. And Ordinal Hive is the aggregator Ordinal Marketplace. You're going to find the cheapest Ordinals around at Ordinal Hive and take advantage of their trader tools. You're going to be able to find stuff that's cheap in the mempool that people accidentally mispriced. You can grab that because they're going to have tools for you guys to be able to find those things and other trading tools as well. But we thank you so much for checking out our partners.
Yep. Great job, man, as always. And if you guys have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out OnChainRevolution.io, some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We really feel like it can help them get started and caught up to where we are today. If you guys need a VPN, highly recommend NordVPN. It is the one that I use on a daily basis every single day. Let's just say you go to a site and that site is geo-blocked. Using a VPN gets you around that. Just remember, that is not your country. You cannot get in trouble for that at all. That is the site that is blocking you, which will allow you to use it. And on top of that, you don't want that site to get your IP address, right? So going without a VPN, it actually gets that site your IP. Your IP address could actually lead them to your home address. As Bitcoiners, as people in crypto with self-custody, we do not want people to know where we live, right? It's not beneficial for us to let someone know where we live. So why let these websites know exactly where you're at? Don't do it. Use a VPN. Get Nord today. But do not go to the Nord website. They're going to charge you $10 a month. If you use our link here, you get it for $3 a month. Lock it in for 2 years. Set it. Forget it. Done with it, guys. Highly recommend do that and lock it up long term. So that way you get the coupon the entire time. As I say, you do it for 3 months, you won't be able to get with that same email. You won't be able to get that same price. So you want to lock it in as long as possible, lock it in for that 2 years and use our link for sure. And then if you guys need merch for events or just kind of lounge around at home and some really cool stuff, we have some of the best merch in all of crypto. Check it all out here. We will be adding some new stuff. And let's just say you wanted us to add something, we could do it. If you're like, yo, can you add my PFP? Can you add this? We can add pretty much anything and have it on the store for you guys to say, hey, go buy my stuff. And for sure, so check out everything here at onchainrevolution.io. And guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. Until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain Revolution roll call. Market recap. You not bullish enough, no. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction.